that one. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Hurdlers of Adversity, conversations with inspirers and maximizers of pivotal moments. I'm your host, John Register, and I am an international keynote speaker, a change mindset warrior, and I work with business professionals to help them hurdle their adversity, amputate fear, embrace a new normal mindset. The mantra is, when truth outweighs fear, we commit to living a courageous life. So come on in, welcome in. I'm so glad that you all are here. I'm always trying to figure this thing out because one week we got like 1,000 people on, and the next week it's like I see the thing like it says 0. And then after it's over with, it's like 50 people were on. So if you're on, let me know. I want to see it in the chat box below. This is a show where you get an up close and personal, courageous conversation or dynamic dialogue with inspirers and maximizers of pivotal moments. These are individuals that have lived through something. They have come through something, and we have no exception to the rule today because we have such a phenomenal guest on, and we'll introduce her in just a second because it is Women's Month. And so I want to celebrate all these fantastic ladies out there who are just crushing the game. It's awesome. Our theme this month, of course, women who are changing the business game unapologetically. And so before we get to her, I do have a prize for the first one who can tell me something. It's going to be something that's coming up. A prize is going to be a good prize for you. It's going to be something that looks like this. Ooh, you can't receive it because of my green screen, but it's you can see a gift card coming up to you. And so each week I'm going to ask a different question. So if you get on, if you're the first one on, you're going to get a chance to do it. So who is on right now? I know we have a couple people on right now. So just tell me who you got. Hello from Charlotte. That's got to be Miss Lynn Keir on there. John and LaTonya. Yes, thank you so much from sunny Charlotte. It's snowing here, Lynn. Snowing here in Colorado. So here's the question. Who was my last guest on this show? First person to answer gets the Visa gift card. First person to answer gets who was my last guest, and you get the Visa gift card. So please, when you have this, when you're looking at this, whether it is you're on live or whether you're looking in the replay, please share this with your tribe. Shout out the guests that have offered their time to us. Make sure that you are following them because they're dropping wisdom, they're dropping nuggets on this show. Please put in on your notification for future shows so that you know when we go live every Thursday at 3:12 in the afternoon Mountain Time. So wherever you are, make sure that the Mountain Time still works for you, and bookmark this show, as I'm sure each one of you are doing right now. So we have a great show for you today. My kind of hero's journey is at 5:29 in the afternoon. I was one of the world's fastest hurdlers. I was also in the United States Army, combat Army veteran. And my life was gravy. I was going to be an Olympian and go on and work a job. It was going to be Mud Sauce is on. Okay, is that right? What? The Mud Sauce entrepreneur? That's got to be Charlinda Scales. So you got it, Lynn. That's right. You're going to win the gift card. The Mud Sauce entrepreneur. It was Charlinda Scales was on last week. Thank you. And I'm going to make sure we get that out to you. So Lynn, of course, wins the gift card. Absolutely. So, at 5:29, one of the world's fastest hurdlers. At 5:30, I would never run another hurdle in my life. I misstepped the hurdle, dislocated my left knee, severed the artery behind the kneecap, and then 7 days later became an amputee. So my mindset was shifted. It was shook. And my wife says to me, you know what, John, we're going to get through this together. It's just our new normal. And so I began to develop this concept of the new normal mindset. And with that mindset, began to elevate. I dissed all my fears and started pushing into things that I did not think was actually possible. Swam in the Paralympic Games about 2 years later. And then 4 years after that, won the silver medal in the long jump in Sydney, Australia. But it doesn't stop there, because after we reach our mountain peaks, we need to go back and help somebody else and teach somebody else how to get over theirs. And so that's what I did. I created a military sport program for the United States Olympic Committee, using sports as a tool for rehabilitation. And we just continue to elevate and celebrate those that have disabilities, but also to help people make the courageous jumps in their life as well. Knowing that people can't, you have to make the jump yourself, but we can offer you the courage on the other side. And that's why we have these amazing guests on, because they have been through something and they are now teaching us how to give back to that. So without further ado, we got the particulars out the way. We have to introduce this amazing woman that we have on for the show. So once again, you got to put her name in the chat box, put her out there if you know who she is already, but let me do her the justice of reading her introduction bio. So this young lady is an attorney. She's an entrepreneur with almost 20 years of experience building and helping businesses succeed, successful entrepreneurs, enterprises. She is the visionary behind 360 brand protection strategies, developed to provide assistance protection, mitigate the risk of losses, and increase business profitability for the emerging brand. And she is a formal federal government attorney turned brand builder. Please welcome the amazing, the uncomparable LeTonya Moore. Thank you for being on, Ms. Moore.
Thank you for having me, John.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to see you. You know, I remember when we met and I was like, oh my gosh, this lady is boss. She is just taking names. It was on in Dr. Avis DeWeaver's money, mindset, entrepreneurship, marketing class. And I just thought that you were just phenomenal. What was it that possessed you in that time period? Because that was during when COVID kind of just first hit and everything was shifting around. What attracted you to try to invest in yourself?
Well, it really, so like a lot of people, right? When COVID hit, there were things that were shut down. For me, my clients took, oh my gosh, like it was an indescribable hit.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I realized was that from a business standpoint, what seemed to be stable could be unstable in a second.
Yeah.
And so what I realized is that there were some things that I needed to pivot, some things that I needed to change in the way that my business was set up.
Mm-hmm.
And so it really happened on its own, because I started having people that were coming to me who, quite frankly, they knew what I did for my clients. And they said, look, I don't have a job. I've been wanting to, push this passion project for a while. This is the time is now. And so there were people coming to me to invest, right, in themselves. And so I had to quickly refashion and repackage what we were doing for our multi-million-dollar companies and adapt that to a smaller brand. And so for us, it made sense that we would put something together that they could implement very quickly. They could actually not just implement, but, see gross sales very, very quickly, be able to turn that around so that realistically, their families would be able to eat, right? Because now they were no longer getting paychecks. Some of them were, right? But at the same time, they knew that they had to have something on the side to make sure that their families were secure.
Can you talk a little bit about what some of those tactics that you had were? I mean, what did you specifically put in place and to make that shift? And then, how did you do it? What were some of the tactics around it?
Well, the great thing is that probably about a year prior, my business partner and I, we were toying with this idea just anyway. And so we had done a beta test of a previous program format that we said, okay, after the beta test, we had a lot to do, right? We had a lot of work to do. So we had already done a lot of those things. We had already implemented it. We had already adjusted it. We had just not implemented it. So we were in a great position. There was nothing that we had to do except implement, and pull the trigger. So that's what we did. We sort of took the group that, the hot group, I call it, right? We took the hot group and we, reached out to some of them to say, hey, this is what we have to offer right now that is going to be beneficial to you. It's affordable based on where you are and kind of getting everything that you need. So for us, it was something that was already there.
Yeah.
I personally believe that, if you believe like me, right, I just believe that this is something that was already predestined. I think, I thank God that we were positioned, right, and we were already prepared and ready for a product that could help so many people.
So unpack. I love that response. You're already prepared. You're already doing some of the work, and now you're taking the model and just pushing it forward because it's necessary and needed in this moment. So talk a little bit about your business as in the legal profession and what you're offering in this IP space, and how what it looked like over here, and then what it looks like now today.
Wow. So previously, I'm assuming you mean pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID, yes, pre-COVID.
So pre-COVID, we actually worked more as just direct legal services, right? So we did trademarks. We handled what we call watchdog services, which is basically paying attention to what's going on with your brand in the marketplace, making sure no one's infringing, making sure that we are essentially just watching over what is going on. As far as the IP space, that's what we were doing. We were already working with people that were looking to grow in a way that did not require them to leverage debt. So working on crowdfunding strategies, working on branding in the sense of what your brand represents in the marketplace and sort of creating that iconic feel for smaller businesses. So that's something we have always worked on. And we've always worked with our clients in terms of how they show up actually in the marketplace as a competitor or as a contender, right? A top contender in the marketplace. So it still looks like that to an extent, except one of the things that we've learned that has been very advantageous is that we do very well as a business partner with our clients. So not just being reactive to the things that they send us, but actually now being able to work inside of the company as a strategic partner. We have a lot of ways that we can proactively influence things versus just being reactionary. So that was really something that came out of this because, in crisis, you just do what you have to do. And so for my clients who quite frankly had to shut down, one of the things that, I said was, what do you need, right? Whatever they said they needed, that's what we did. Some people said, listen, I just want to just stay the contract until we see what happens. Some people said, I need to just, instead of what I normally pay, I can do this. We did whatever it was that they asked us to do, right? Because at the end of the day, in crisis, you band together. And that's what we've always been about, ethics and integrity.
At least you hope you band together.
For us, we definitely were banding together, right? Yeah. And so what ended up happening was because of that, though, we also took on some advisory roles that we otherwise would not have been a part of, to assist the clients. And so that really opened up a major opportunity for us because it created a new service line that we otherwise probably would never have discovered outside of this crisis.
So we opened up talking a little bit about when we're making transitions, we're making the shift. Sometimes we need a little bit of help to infuse our thinking because we're in crisis mode. It's very difficult to just think. And what's the next paycheck or what's the next move I need to make? And when we're thinking about, food on the table, when we're thinking about how my business is going to survive, a lot of times we're not in creative space. We're not in creative mode. So I know that we met on a platform that was with a woman who was doing phenomenal. I heard on the fringes, but really didn't know. What is it like to work with somebody, to kind of bring somebody on, in this case, Dr. DeWeaver, to help you and help me, like she has helped me as well, to help think through some of these things when we're in the space of just kind of turmoil and I just need to cut through this noise in order to help my business along?
Well, I think for us, again, we already had something that was prepackaged. Everybody's experience is different, right? When they're working with a coach or a mentor, or someone like that. So for us, it was more so we just had to implement, right? We just needed
Right.
to, just kind of pull the trigger and really implement some things that we already had prepackaged. I think that one of the things that we all almost discount is the level of creativity that we really have inside of us.
Yeah. Right.
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 Sometimes we discount the fact that we already had the answer, and then we look to people, although there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. We look to people to validate things that are already there. Um,
Yes.
and it's not to discount, of course, any influence that anyone may have, but realistically, I think that I mean, look, I could turn this around and start interviewing
No, I'm the
you,
one that's interviewing you. It ain't happening.
right?
But
Because for
even
you,
then,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I said even then, right? Because with me, I was like, okay, all this speaking stuff was gone, and so I was trying to figure out how do I cut through the noise to get to that creative voice again, and putting my rituals in place. But just needed somebody to kind of help, just give me clarity just for a second. And so what I did was, the big setup is, I got a person I was going to bring on to surprise you and just throw her up here on the stream, and that is the one and only Dr. Avis.
Hey there, how you
I
doing?
want
Hey.
because I mean, you two just kind of like were sparks for me, and
Oh,
I saw both of you as you were just growing leaps and bounds, and you had your systems and process in place, but oh my gosh, you just exploded with some great months during a pandemic. So what? Well, I'll throw it down to Dr. Avis. So what was it like when you have somebody that comes in and you just see this great potential? What's that like to kind of unlock that potential that they have? I mean, it's already there, and you
right.
just kind of bring it out.
Yeah, I think oftentimes, like, I work with a lot of high achievers. And the challenge that oftentimes high achievers face is that they see themselves and where they are as almost normalcy. It is normalcy to them, that's their everyday life. And their perspective on themselves then is too close to really understand those things and those aspects of what they do that are absolutely positively extraordinary. It's not ordinary in the most, best sense of the word. It's pretty far from ordinary. And so what I like to do is I try to determine what is that thing that they have that maybe they've discounted, like maybe they've undervalued. And I've let them understand about how that right there is this thing that actually has a tremendous amount of value for other people. It may be pretty normal to you, it may seem pretty non-consequential to you, but when you package it and position it right in the marketplace, this is that thing that can blow up. So that's one of the things that I do for people. I know that with Latonya, for example, when we first got together, she had a particular offer that she had prepackaged, but she said that that was something that she wasn't even almost was embarrassed to show me because she didn't really understand the value of it. And I was like, no, this right here is your money maker, right? And so I think sometimes it takes someone who brings to you a different perspective, a more neutral perspective that can really help you see the huge value of what you've created, because to you it's just normal, it's just what you do anyway, and that helps to sort of push that person in that right direction, along with all the other, quite frankly, really mindset work that has to happen when you are in a moment of crisis. Because as you mentioned, when you're in survival mode, you are in survival mode. And people tend to make one of two choices in that mode. They seek to shrink, or they seek to sort of go full speed ahead and attack. And I think sometimes we need some extra support to get us to that point where we don't shrink, but instead can see the opportunity that always sits in the eye of crisis and chaos, and instead really focus on that opportunity and then go and attack and get that opportunity and make the most of it.
Love it. So I got a comment that just came in. Boom, strong women on display. Hashtag. I was like, yeah, Women's History Month, or I don't know if it's Women's History Month. What is it, Women's Appreciation Month? I don't know. I've always appreciated women. So, so, I'm really big on mentorship, right? And so, LaTonya, you hear that. And so I want to know, how do you now take what you do, your expertise? Because really, I was so impressed, watching how your growth was just growing exponential. It was really I put you as a person who I want to be in competition with, and we're not doing the same thing. But I was seeing the numbers, and I said, okay, I can do this, And it was really that you were the person that was kind of the one who kind of shook me up and woke me up out of the fog to say, you got this, you can do this. And you don't even know this, but I was just watching how you were continuing to excel. So the question I have for you now is, how are you now teaching that to somebody else?
Well, it's really interesting because I think that it's always inside of you. I think it's like Dr. Avis was saying, like sometimes, people, you see things in people that they don't see in themselves because it's normal. It's difficult for me to really feel like what I do is really that different. And I'm saying that because for my clients, one of the things about it is that they're all like pushing their passion projects. And some of them have product-based businesses, some of them have service-based businesses. And what I realize is that my sweet spot is to show people like how to get to the money. Mm-hmm. Right? Because at the end of the day, the way you get to the money is different. It's based on who you are. A John Register can implement, right? Because that's who you are, right? You are a person that implements. I think it's important. So I guess to directly answer your question, I really look at each individual person, how they learn, how they move, how they function. Because I think that when you meet a person where they are, you're able to say like, oh, okay, so this person, this is what works with that person. It's not everyone that you can say, okay, John, you need to charge $10,000. And John charges $10,000, right? We've all been in that time where someone's told you that, right?
Right.
More than once. So I think that
fear and trembling.
But you did it, right? But you did it. So I think that when you find that thing that is going to motivate that person, that's the thing that you push. And so, for us, with the people that we work with, that's what we've decided is sort of like the hallmark of what we do.
Thank you for answering that. That's a fantastic. Both of you all, doctors. I know you have to. You're short on time because I know you're in your program that's going on. Tell a little bit the people what's going on with that.
We have a brand new class that's just coming in and onboarding right now, and so
all right.
We do have a brand new class of moneymakers. We're excited to be working with. Absolutely.
You need to be following this lady because I'm telling you, it's going to be awesome. That's all I can say. It's just going to be awesome. Really helped during that time. Any parting thoughts that you have? Because don't you have something else going on? I thought you had something else. You're just onboarding people now.
That is our normal Thursday night training. We do deep dive trainings with our clients every Thursday night. And so tonight, for example, where we're training about retaining clients. I think this is a part of the puzzle that a lot of entrepreneurs, particularly service-based entrepreneurs, look over, right? We're so much focused on sales, which is very important. If you're not selling in a business, you don't have a business. But you also need to understand how to not have leaky holes in your bucket, right? And so tonight we're focusing our training on retention strategies, renewal strategies, up-leveling strategies, so that not only are you not losing clients and not only are you keeping clients, you're also getting those clients to help to bring more clients to you, and you're getting those clients to maybe up level to a higher level, and or getting those clients to renew. So we're focusing on all those different ways that you can shore up your client base, because it's not just about getting the next new client. It's about being able to grow your business through the retention, the up level, and the renewal strategies that will make sure that you have a strong foundation in your business for years to come.
Awesome. Well, thank you. I appreciate you being our shock value for LaTonya on here today.
It was definitely
Thanks
a
for
pleasant
having me.
surprise, John. Thank you.
Great. Wonderful having you. Great seeing you guys.
Hey, thank you so much for coming on.
All righty.
All
Bye.
right. Bye, Dr. A. So that's Dr. Avis Jones DeWeaver, and oh my gosh, she's just one of those phenomenal individuals, really just incredible. Just wanted to bring her on because it is Women's Appreciation Month, and I just wanted to celebrate all the people, all the ladies that have just encouraged me, and LaTonya is definitely at the top of that list. So I wanted to just kind of honor her in this. We talk about hard work, LaTonya, and so the question I really have around this is, I see that people work hard all the time, but then I see people who work hard who are not successful. And I also see people who work hard who don't work hard but are successful. So kind of what are your observations around that? And then secondly, how do you apply that observation to your life?
Well, I think you have to come to a place where, like, working hard, you can only do that for so long, right? Until it's non-productive. My business partner always says, if you just continue to grind, right? If you think about a key and you continue to grind the key, eventually it's not even going to open the lock that it was meant to open.
Right.
And that's like one of those, whoa, right? Because we all have had that experience with a key, and we understand it and we see it. I think what happens when people work really, really hard and they are not, let's say they're not making the sales, or they're not getting the market share or the recognition, or they're not meeting their goals. I believe a lot of times it's because they fail to plan, right? Think about like corporate America, right? The person that's the busiest in the office is typically the most non-productive because they're doing a lot of busy work, right? If you are a solopreneur, it still doesn't mean that you have to be a one-man show. So a lot of those folks, they're not making money because they have not delegated properly. There are some tasks that after a while you just shouldn't be doing, right? Your time should be spent on things that are going to be making your enterprise money. Yes. And I think that that's what happens. The people that it appears that they're not really doing much, but they're making money, they have figured it out, right? They figured out how to work smart. They figured out how to work through people versus being a workhorse, because eventually you will give out. And I think that we certainly have to do that. One of and I'm saying this being a recovering workhorse, right? Like being one of those people who said, okay, I need to really delegate. Yeah. And so with our program, now my business partner has really stepped into that role and is really managing and running the day-to-day of our program. He's interfacing with our clients. He is following up, making sure that things are done that are supposed to be, done. And what that's given me an opportunity to do is to develop higher level programs for higher level businesses. And so now that's where my focus is. So now there are a couple of other levels, right, that we're able to bring clients into that otherwise would have kind of been one-off clients. But now we can bring them into an already prepackaged program because we were able to build a foundation here. So that's one of the things that, that has helped me. And quite frankly, I looked for several ways to create passive income. That's something that we don't talk about. You can invest as a business owner. There are several things that, people can do to create passive income, for themselves. And so for me, that was something that was very, very big. And so I went from, 60, 70 hours, man hours that I was personally putting in, right, when I was doing everything myself, to now it's about 13 to 20 man hours a month versus a week, because now the man hours didn't go anywhere. But what I did, I was able to assemble the proper team to make sure that the work is done, it's high quality, the clients are satisfied. And so we've been able to create a work smart environment.
I like that. So what I heard is don't overgrind your key. I love that.
Ooh,
Don't
that's
overgrind.
That's a quote.
That's a quote. You got it. I took that one. I was like, ooh, that's good. And then I was listening, delegating, of course, that. But who might you leverage is what I heard. Who might you leverage that is so strong, that believes in what you're doing, so that your hours, even though you still need 60 hours to run the business, but now it's dispersed among more individuals, more people. Those are the two major things I heard you say. Is there anything else that I might have missed in that?
Well, nothing that you missed, but one thing that I would like to add is
Yeah.
empower your team, right? Train them, but then trust them. That's crucial. Train and trust is very crucial. When you train them, you have to trust that they can now implement, but you also have to be available to them if they do have questions. But
Yes.
my team, they're empowered with decision-making power. I trust their judgment. They've proven themselves. And so once the decisions are made, if there's something that comes back, we deal with it. Right. But for the
Right.
most part, we've not had any problems. And I'm very proud of my group.
Awesome. Thank you. I love that. Empower your team and trust them and be there for them. I love that. So we have a user on, I believe this is Lynn, as multiple streams of income. That's fantastic. She's talking about there. And then strategic planning, how to add value. So if you have a question, please type in the chat box there, and I will look at that question. I can see it down here for LaTonya. If you're enjoying the conversation, one thing that you may have learned from her, please put that in the chat as well. Send it out to all your networks. So we want to promote her in this show. So I know it's Women's Appreciation Month. I've said that a couple times. We all know women have been undervalued in the marketplace, lack of appreciation from society, but Black women seem to get it the worst. So what are some of your unique challenges that you have faced, and how did those challenges impact your life?
We don't have enough time, John.
we got
But
19 more minutes.
I'll pick one or two. I think that although the challenges are there, one of the things that I will say is that I learned very early that you make do with what you have. Right? No matter what's thrown your way, you become agile almost, right? Because you're constantly thinking about, how can I do better? How can I achieve more? Because I know that the standard is greater for me. And for me, some of those things were good, right? But quite frankly, it's not a good space to always, regardless of how much you excel, how much more you do, to be treated, and it's almost acceptable, right? To be treated as if you are not good enough. No matter what you do, if you go the extra mile, that's because that's what you're supposed to do. If you excel more, oh, you got lucky. To never, to see yourself as disregarded. For me, I had a choice to make, right? I could allow that to be my story, or I could say, I am going to step into this place and I am going to take control of my own narrative. And so the way that I've leveraged that, I have a client right now, you may have seen some things around her. She's doing something called the self-love movement for Black women. And it really is designed for the very questions that what you just mentioned, right? It's really designed not just to have the conversation, but to also provide solutions for Black women to say, not only are you enough, you're more than enough. Our track record as Black women speaks for itself. If you haven't heard the speech, just look at this year's election and see whose blood, sweat, and tears made that a reality. I would challenge you to look historically, because every other movement of women, the Black women were doing the same thing that they did this year. See, for us, this is a normal day at the office, right? This is what we do. This is who we are. We could go centuries back, and we will see that it was Black women that was a part of sustaining society, right? It was Black women that, quite frankly, we were sustaining Black men even as far back as slavery. If you do some research, they were wondering, why are these slaves not dying of starvation? Because Black women, lactating mothers, they were breastfeeding grown men to make sure that they were physically able, right? So what am I saying? What I'm saying is, when you come from a history, John, of being a life sustainer, this is what we do, right? This is what we do. This is how we're built. And so for me, I can't take credit for that, because I believe that it's in my DNA. It's in who I am. And so now I have the privilege, though, of being in a position to be iconic, not because of LaTonya, right? But because of so many, LaTonya's coming before me, so many women that I'm able to stand on their shoulders and say, this is why I can be who I am, because of all of these sacrifices. And so, yes, there may be a vision for others that Black women feel downtrodden, and there may be an intent to hold us back, but we've made a decision that we're not going to take it, which is why Black women is the fastest growing demographic of entrepreneurs. That was happening pre-pandemic, because we said, okay, if you feel like you are not going to give us our just due, then we are going to step out and we are going to do our own, and we're crushing it. And I love it.
Yeah, I love it too. And so when you share that, I know there must have been some hard challenges. Could you share one of the biggest personal hurdles that you had to face, and then how then do you take that experience, not only just in your business, but help empower, encourage others to not really, I don't want to use the cliche of overcome the adversity, because I don't think we really do. I think we move past them, but they might be in our rear view. But how do you help others to kind of jump and release to the other side, to know that there's kind of this other vision that you can have, this other lifestyle that you can have?
Yeah, I think for me, being a fourth generation entrepreneur, and after I achieved a few things, right? So I was the first person in my family to complete college, right? I was the first person for a long time, the only person to have a professional degree. Not that was necessarily what I was trying to do. It was just, I knew I was a little girl that wanted to be a lawyer, whose father and mother said, you can do it. It was really as simple as that. And so, but once I got into those spaces, I started getting around people, right? Our network. I started to be among people that were just doing things like as if there was nothing to it. And I realized, I started to say to myself, well, if John could do it, if Sam could do it, if Julie could do it, LaTonya can do it. And I started to see possibilities right in front of me. I started to see in front of me things that I could only dream of actually being the reality for someone else. And so for me, that backdrop was a little bit of of an adversity, because I had to learn and do everything on my own, because as much as my family wanted to support me, they didn't know anybody who could help me. Right. But God willing, it worked out. And so for me, that was very important. What some people may or may not know is that I was a teen mother. So, and then a single mom. And so that then added an additional layer, right, of challenges. But again, with the help of my family, with a lot of support, for me, a lot of prayer, it actually came, things started coming together. And what I try to tell people is that there is so much value in your story, right? Your journey is so valuable. I mean, think about your journey, John, right? Like you said, at one time it was this, and within a minute it was something else, but not just something else, something now that led to the thing that could have been life-changing. But I heard what you said. You said, my wife said, this is my new normal, right? You had someone immediately speaking life into you, letting you know, babe, this is not the end. Right? This is just the beginning of our next chapter. So for me, this is what I strive to be for the people that I work with. I strive to be that voice to say, this is the beginning of your next chapter. Whatever's happened up to this point, that's great. It is just a part of your historical context. And so now let's go make history. Let's go blaze trails.
I love it. And people blowing up on you right now. They're blowing up. So this person, speak life, speak life, speak life. The jump. And the jump is, no one can do the jump, is what I always say, is when we go and make the commitment, that's a jump we have to take. And we can have all the people pushing us or all the people pulling us and encouraging us, but we have to be the ones to actually make the commitment to make the leap to the other side. And then we have this, Black Women Rock, absolutely. and then Cheryl Bingham, love it, empower your team, yes. And she also says, train and trust, support and inspire, yes, LaTonya, for sure. Thank you for that. So we're going to go into it because we got about 9 minutes left here. JR's Inspire Rapid Five, the Rapid Five we got, that's a new part of our show, and we're going to do this right now, kind of just give you, hear from LaTonya and what it is that she does in this flash round. So we're going to put 30 seconds on the clock, and we get that 30 seconds. If she gets them all in 30 seconds, she gets a prize. What's that prize? Where's my little deal? Here's the prize. Is going to be JR's letter opener right there. So we're going to have that, JR's letter opener, right? Okay, so I think one of our guests on has already won one of those prizes, so I'm sure she's opening up her mail with that. And then you can get them on we're going to put them on lines because I think people like them. It calls them Embrace Your New Normal now is inscribed, and we'll have some other products as well for that. All right, so here we go. JR's Inspire 5 Rapid Flash Round. Best time for your productivity, morning, afternoon, or evening?
Morning.
Morning. Beach, mountain, or city?
Beach.
Where you go to think?
My bedroom.
Next one's the statement. So, now, you know what? That was really dumb.
The previous election.
Person who you know who would be great for this show next?
Mario Brown.
Mario Brown. Okay, we're going to have you set that one up. All right. So I want to ask you this, and thanks for doing that. I have kind of this other one. And what comes to your mind when you hear this quote? And this is off the jump is the jump. So when truth outweighs fear, we commit to living life courageously.
Wow. It just speaks power, right? The power that we have in taking control of our own destiny. That's what I think about.
Yeah, for sure. So I love it, and I want you to get one more thing. As I'd love for you to just chat because so many people are trying to get into, and well, before we get to that, you got 5 for me. I'll answer any 5 questions you got. Any 5 Power 5 questions. You're an attorney. You're an attorney. You can do that off the top of your head, Miss Attorney.
Okay. What is what's the top thing that you do when you're speaking to CEOs?
Listen.
Ooh, good. What is the one thing that if you could do differently, you would?
I do differently. That's always hard for me. I think what I would do different is be more I think earlier on having more empathy.
Okay. What are 3 things that you have learned from me?
Strategy, building the team, and more money, LaTonya, more money.
I thought you were going to say like the last one just the whole time because you always say that. What was that, 3 or 4?
That was 4, I think.
Okay, that was 4. The last one is, what do you like the most about being a granddad?
If I could have been a granddad without being a parent, I would have skipped straight to that. No, I don't mean that. That's kind of one of those kind of throwaway jokes. What I've learned is just how precious life is, and the cycle and the circle of that life, and how this little one can be so enthralled in who people are, and we get a chance to shape that. And that's, I mean, I tear up thinking about it, just how important that is. And I would say it this way, had I known how I treat my granddaughter, I think differently how I would probably treat my children. Not that it wasn't bad, but just the paying of attention. Because in the moment as a parent, you're just going. I would have stopped more for sure. But now I do, because of her, I do that more often right now. I do that now. So we did a lot with our family, but now I'm extremely intentional about it.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah. So yay. So if you're enjoying this conversation with LeTonya Moore, I call her Mo Money Mo, I want you to put in the chat box or follow her on whatever stream you're watching this on, whether it's on YouTube, in the Facebook group, or on LinkedIn Live. Please follow her, pin her up on whatever social channels. Let her be known and the voice. And write in one thing that you have learned from LaTonya on this show as well. So we have some things that are here. Great conversation. Thank you, John, LaToya, and Dr. Avis. Yeah, for sure. And we have another one, grandparent love, what? Empathy, yes, and speak life, yes, for sure, 100%. All right, so the last thing I really have for you is, you drew us in by telling us, around IP, and I would love for you just to kind of chat just for briefly about why it's so important to protect your intellectual property.
Yeah, absolutely. You have to think about intellectual property like you do any other piece of real estate, right? One of the things that I always tell people is that your trademark is like a baby's birth certificate, right? Would you want to leave the hospital without having your baby's birth certificate?
Wow.
Because because if you think about it, it's the same, right? It's something that it was birthed out of your creative juices, right? I guess, for lack of a better word.
I got it. I'm flowing with you.
Right. And so,
juices flowing, got it.
this is something that it signifies who you are, right? It signifies what your brand is, what it stands for. And so to just leave it out there, unprotected, it's very, very important. The other thing too is that when you actually get a trademark, now you're building assets for your business. I talked about residual income. A lot of people don't know that you can license your trademarks. You can mortgage them. I don't suggest that, but you can, right? You can do so many different things with them that can also be like latent income streams that a lot of people don't even think about because they don't know.
Yeah.
It's not something that is just in vogue. It really is something that you really need to do if this is a brand that you plan to build. If you know that you're in it for the long haul, you definitely need to make the investment, because otherwise you can work on this thing for so many years and then someone else will come in and they'll encroach and they'll encroach and they'll encroach until they will actually be taking market share from you, right? They will be steering clients away from you to them because now they are actually benefiting from your hard work. So it's very important that you make sure that you protect your intellectual property.
Well, thank you. You've been a gift for this show. Thank you so much for being on. Thank you so much for saying yes. How do people get out and find you and get a part of the LaTonya Mo Money crew?
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can connect with me directly through my website. It's iprotectyourbrand.com. That's iprotectyourbrand.com. And you can actually connect with me across all social media platforms. I am on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, and send me a DM.
All right. I love it. I love it. You on the new app Clubhouse? You on there too?
I am on Clubhouse.
So go follow her on Clubhouse as well.
Follow me on Clubhouse.
We have to do it. We got to do a room together.
Let's do it.
We got to do a room. So stay on for just a few seconds. I'm going to close the show up, but I really appreciate you being on, LaTonya. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you for being on with us. And that LaTonya just totally wicked. It was a great show. And so make sure you rewind the tape. I'm showing my age. This month's Women Appreciation Month, we have all these great women that are coming on. Next week is Kathleen Clowiter. So look her up. She's going to be a fantastic show. She's going to be, look her up so she can put it down. Buy the book on Kindle, 10 Power Stories to Impact Any Leader. Journal your way to leadership success. and I finally got it edited so we can actually get it into a paperback book along with a journal. So I'm so excited that that's coming out soon. Whew, can't believe it. Taking me just about a year. And then so get the book on Kindle. Join the Facebook group, which is www.facebook.com/groups with an S/amputate fear. We're having conversations over in there. And then subscribe to the YouTube channel. We're going to be cutting these up, splicing them up, and putting them out kind of in 3 question segments so you can actually share them with your friends in smaller morsels. So see you back here next week at 3:12 in the afternoon on Hurdlers of Adversity, Inspirers of Maximizers of Pivotal Moments. We say go forth and inspire your world on this show because go is your command, forth is your direction, inspire is your vocation. This is your DNA. It's your personal work. Only you can do it. And world, because this is your sphere of influence. God bless everybody. See you next week on Inspirers and Maximizers of Pivotal Moments. Bye for now.